Phew. And that's the 1,000-year farm video complete. I really hope people like it. And isn't Dabreeze so nice this morning on year 1000? Hello, hello. Wait, it's pronounced debris? No matter how many piles there are? And I said it how many times? And how many people watched the video?
How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
Anyway, I'm gonna have to clean this up, aren't I? It turns out it doesn't take that much effort to get to year 1000. You just kind of sit there and let time pass. But I haven't created a time machine yet. So it's time to put in some work and get this farm up and running again. For our to-do list, we probably need to do something about these immortal kids and our disturbed wife. It'll be hard to sleep knowing that every night they might come for us. And we'll need our beauty sleep to be able to clear out the meteors and statues that have piled up all over the farm. Once the farm is back up and running, we'll have the money and products to get back into the villagers' good graces. And lastly, we probably need to figure out a way to topple Lewis's dictatorship. 1,000 years is a longer run than he deserves. First up, we better help Haley. It's not her fault she lost it along the way. So, we'll head over to the mayor's house to... So we'll clear a path to the mayor's house to give her the kindest thing I can think of. A divorce. The only problem is, it takes a couple of days to kick in. So we'll have to watch out for those demon babies.
Mother is ours.
Whew. That's half the problem solved. Except, Haley still has her memories and hates us. So, let's go ahead and wipe her mind up at the witch's hut. Now, she's back to her old self, before any of this madness happened. I hope she can find peace. Now it's just down to me and you. And luckily for us, the witch has just a solution for the low cost of a couple of prismatic shards. Thanks, Dark Shrine of Selfishness. Hey, 2 birds, 1 stone. Now, it's time to clean up the decor in here. And, oh, you. I forgot about you. That's for my jacket. Da-da-dum, da-da-doo, da-da-dum, da-da-dee. What's this? Why do I feel compelled to return? Aw, someone left their dolls here. Oh, Die, die, die. Good riddance. With this final flooring, the inside of our house is looking lovely. I even added some of the extra furniture Haley left us. Oh, we better pull this down too. And I also remembered that all the wine in the cellar is iridium quality, which is going to help out a ton since I decided to start over. Nothing except those bottles will be fair game. I mean, what are the odds that anything would be left in my chests after 1,000 years with Lewis around? Oh, but I'm keeping my speed food. I won't do this without it. But those iridium quality wine bottles are really good early gifts, and we don't really need the money for them. Well, I put it off as long as I could. Time to start clearing. There's a bunch of ways you could go about this. You could go top to bottom, clearing everything in your path, but it's gonna take you a minute. We're currently watching this at 200 times speed. And sure, it might hurt your eyes trying to clear the farm at such a high zoom level, but isn't it worth it for the time lapse? Oh, finally done. Or you could go through and clear each object one by one. Let's start with the trees. But I won't waste your time watching that. You could also learn that there's console commands that remove objects from your farm and clear it out that way. But honestly, where's the fun in that? Plus, you lose out on all the materials you could have gathered. So let's just stick with the first method. But a few interesting points are that we only got 18 prismatic shards this time, compared to 19 last time when we just cleared out the meteorites.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
We should have gotten 25. but at least we have 511 owl statues, just like I said last time.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Except, we cleared a few to be able to get a divorce before we cleared the farm. So, we actually have 515. I must have missed 4 last time. Trust me, I counted each one. Whoops. But in positive news, I found 4 of the furnaces hidden away in the top left corner, which will be a boon to start building up some metal. Everything inside of this box I'm considering fair game, since I picked it up while clearing the farm, including these Omni Geodes. So hopefully we can get something good out of them. And now we're left with a beautiful canvas to recreate our old farm. Luckily, the buildings, barns, and fish ponds are still in place. But I'm sure you noticed that we didn't let the animals out of the barn or coop. That's because we have a dilemma. You see, at best, these animals have severe social disorders. Hey kid,
You ever thought about the phrase taste like chicken? Imagine your flavor was the benchmark for every other meat.
and at worst, there's some sort of weird plant-animal hybrid. If we let them out and it gets into the population, did we just turn all animals into plants? And is plant bacon still meat? Would vegetarians even eat plant pigs? That's not a risk I'm willing to take. Yeah! Yeah! Huh! Ha! Just look at the rabbits, Lenny.
Execute Order 66.
Master Swell, there's too many of them. What are we going to do? I'm sorry, little one. But today is the luau, so we're gonna have to wait till tomorrow to talk to Marnie and pick up some new animals. So let's tackle our slime hutches next. In the tiger slime hutch, we got pretty lucky because they ended up as tiger slimes, not cursed slimes. But the witch's flip-flopping did curse our rainbow slime hutch. So we'll have to clear these guys out. But it's all gonna be worth it because these are some premium materials. Since we're starting over, all of that slime will give us a nice head start on repopulating the slime hutch. But it's been a traumatic day, so let's get to bed early and get ready for tomorrow. Though unfortunately, today we have something we need to address. Our mailbox. We sat there for 1,000 years, and every year we accumulated more letters. So unless there's some sort of internal cap, we probably have tens of thousands. But I want to see what kind of items we got and see how long it might take to clear them out. So let's give it the day. Initially, I ran out of inventory space because we got some unique items early on in the years. But eventually it all kind of settled out and I no longer had to dump stuff into the chest. I decided to count how many letters I was getting per year, and it's around 33. So that means, yeah, roughly 33,000 letters in this inbox. I think I can clear about 3 per second. So that means it's gonna take me like, what, 3 hours to do this? I already spent about 20 minutes the first day clearing, and to be honest, my hands are kind of hurting. I could come up with a script to keep clicking like this, but I think we need to find a better way to clear this backlog. But this is a pretty nice haul from all the villagers we still have hearts with, so at least it wasn't for nothing today. But let's take a look at the save file and see if we can get rid of these pesky letters. It turns out, if we search for mailbox, the second entry is all of your queued up mail. Let's go ahead and highlight all of this and dump it in the trash. And I'm gonna keep one item in our queue, just so we have the satisfaction of seeing it clear. And I went back to the original file before we had checked any mail. It's a lot. In fact, when you search for string, you get 60,980 results, which cut in half is 30,490 letters. Looks like our estimates were pretty good.
You were close.
And if we did everything right, this last letter should clear our mailbox. Let's go. I will go ahead and keep these items from yesterday because I feel like I worked pretty hard for them. But now, let's go ahead and grab these slime eggs and move the egg presses over to somewhere we can see them easier. And oh yeah, I didn't check the sheds. Wow, that's a lot of ancient fruit wine. But if we're gonna be honest about it, I think I know what we have to do with all of this. Lewis definitely would have taken anything that didn't spoil. We'll go ahead and place these guys out front so we can fill them up every day. And oh no, there's lightning. Let's go ahead and put down our lightning rods so that we don't lose anything we're working on. We finally moved everything into these chests, so let's go grab a workbench from Robin. That way we can see what we can make. Looks like it's a few items, but we'll have to start gathering materials. Since we got so much from meteorites, let's go ahead and cook up some iridium. All this talk about materials got me thinking about the greenhouse, which is full of fruit trees and a monoculture of ancient fruit. We're going to want to clear this out so we can grow gifts for villagers. Let's finish up the slime hutches by clearing these bubbles and dealing with these guys. Lucky for us, we have a slime charmer ring, and I just couldn't quite get all the slimes back inside, so...
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Luckily, the other hutch was empty, so it was Dabreeze. A breeze. The next morning, I noticed that we have 3 of these mushroom hats, so it only feels fitting. And it feels super nice to be ready to build the farm up again. Also, we've still got to clean this up. Well, for now, let's just head over to Marnie's and pick up our new animals.
I have failed you.
Hopefully we'll do better by these little guys. Now, it's time for a debris clearing montage. Hit the music. Wait a second. There's a better way.
It must have taken hundreds, thousands of years to carve this thing.
Hey look, I made a bridge. It only took me like, 10 seconds? 11 tops.
I can't even imagine how much time that saved us. In fact, let's do a real montage. So satisfying. Let's go ahead and clean up the rest of the world too, because we might as well get it done while we have the bombs. I love seeing the various paths the villagers cut through the debris as they went about their way for 1,000 years. But it's time to go. And hey, that should be all the stone we need to be able to put back all the pathways, which I want to do first to get an idea of where everything was. And we didn't really earn this golden clock, so I think it's time we got rid of it and let the farm start aging naturally again. With that good deed out of the way, let's do something a little bit fun and selfish, cracking all of these geodes. Unfortunately, we do have to deal with Clint because it's going to take a while to crack them with the geode crusher. I guess here's one benefit, that Clint didn't leave after 1,000 years. And when everything was said and done, we ended up with a lot of really fun materials, especially gifts for the villagers. And our luck turned around since we ended up with 3 prismatic shards. Nice. But now it's time to start putting down flooring. We're starting halfway through the day on the 16th, so it'll be interesting to see how long it takes us to get the farm back up and running. Son of a gun. Well, it's gonna take a little bit longer now. We're lucky that our Krobus statue survived, but we probably can't replace the gold Lewis. Who really cares? But I do care about this mushroom tree, and I've just remembered that bombs blow up trees. Now to take care of the trunk. I'm just glad ConcernedApe didn't add damage to your animals. And so are they. At the end of a long day putting down pathways, I noticed that one of our sheep was outside. Mutton might not be long for this world. But I realized I have a resource that most people don't have access to. Hundreds of owl statues, and I'm going to use them instead of fences. Since it'll take time to get trees growing again, I'm going to add these seeds into our forest. We were also lucky enough to pick up 5 mushroom seeds, and I'm going to put them around the pond as a nice homage to what this used to look like after 1,000 years. I realized that brick floors are going to be a problem. They take a ton of clay. We only have 22, so we're going to have to find a way to pick up the extras. And in fantastic news on my way to mine some clay, I noticed that Mutton made it back into the pen, so we don't have to replace her. Hooray! And I really like picking up clay in the skull caverns because it's kind of a 2-for-1. We're also hoping for purple slime eggs. Another good spot is the dig site on Ginger Island, because these clay nodules are going to give us a bunch for not too much effort. But our first day only netted us around 150 brick floors. We're probably going to need triple that. So back to the mines we go. And while crafting up more brick, I realized we don't have any wicked statues in these hutches, so we're vulnerable to the witch. No thank you. Oh man. Ole! And let's also get 2 of each color that I've gotten into the incubators. The next morning, I decided to chop down some trees. It'd be really nice to fill out the entirety of our forest. Mission accomplished, but pretty close to the wire. To completely fix the farm, we're going to need both of these statues, but we're low on fiber, sap, and moss. Luckily for us, tomorrow's the Green Rain event. We can make the statue of the Dwarf King, but we'll hold off for now. To get prepared for Green Rain, I'm going to set up the quarry as a tree farm. That way, if we don't collect enough moss tomorrow, we'll have a reliable way to get moss in the future. Our farm is really starting to come back into shape, but we're going to dedicate tomorrow to collecting as much moss and fiber as we can. And hey, our empty land is also pretty nice for the Green Rain event, but let's skip to the end and I'll show you how much I collected. It was a bit tedious, but that should be plenty of fiber and moss to be able to make the statue. But interestingly, we're just missing sap this time. I've never seen that happen. But after 1,000 years, this save file is pretty out of whack. And what's also out of whack is that the witch showed up that night. If we hadn't put down those wicked statues, all of our work in the slime hutches could have been for nothing. Because the Green Rain event replaced all of the old trees, we're going to go ahead and start knocking out the sap we need for that statue. Looks like the quarry tree farm won't be that useful. But that's the statue of the Dwarf King and the statue of Blessings completed, which feels really nice. And our rainbow slime hutch is really starting to come together. Alright, let's go get some purple ones. It took a couple days, but eventually we picked up 2 purple slime eggs. So I'd call the slime hutches good to go. Next up is flooring for our pond, and for that we're going to need some crystal floors. We could probably also use a lot more birds. Now that's more like 1,000 years. And after gathering a ton of clay and with a couple last owl statues, the background is done. Which is good because it's the first day of fall. We don't need these crops for money, but it'll be nice for when we befriend the townsfolk again. Plus, it looks nice. Along the friendship vein, I went to go pick some more fruit and realized that the first time I picked it, I got regular quality. But now I'm getting iridium, which makes sense after 1,000 years. So I guess they don't ripen on the vine. The farm's looking good, but we're missing a few machines, and some of them are a challenge to craft. Luckily, I love Mr. Key's quests, so we have plenty of gems for deconstructors. But we're going to need a lot more ore for everything else, so it's time to head back into the mines. Okay, don't judge me. It's one of Clint's only redeeming qualities, and it allows us to knock out a bunch of the machines we need. Just not the fish smokers. We gotta go catch some jellies. 1 training rod from Willy and a couple of days fishing for each nets us the smokers we need. Wood chippers are pretty easy since Robin sells them for 1,000 a pop. And anvils aren't that useful, but we used to have one, so we might as well snag it. You probably noticed that we need 5 dragon's teeth to make the mini forge, so I'm off to the volcano. Is it just me or is it kind of peaceful in here? And without further ado, oh, we need gold bars. And without further ado, the mini forge. And you can't have a nice farm without some lights, so let's just make like 50 of these. While there's a couple of small things we need to craft, we're waiting on materials that take some time. So let's go ahead and put down everything we've crafted so far to get this farm back into shape. One of the benefits about having to redo the whole layout is that I can kind of tweak it a little bit to make it more efficient. And honestly, I was kind of dreading having to do this. 1,000 years messed this farm up pretty good, and I knew it was going to take a lot of work to get it back into shape. But there's an old saying, how do you eat an elephant? Trunk first in one whole bite. So I locked myself away, and I've been doing nothing but Stardew for the last week, and it's been a blast. I took some time off this summer to go explore the world and places that didn't have the greatest internet connection, but it's good to be back. Oh, you weren't supposed to see this. Huh, this isn't some weird altar, and it's definitely not a sacrificial shrine to the owl god. But in all seriousness, thanks for coming back to watch. I have a lot of fun making these videos, and I really appreciate it.
Subscribe.
Now, we're technically not done with the farm yet, because we still need 4 more beehives and a keg. But we'll need some resin and syrup for those, so in the meantime, let's move on to the next step in the to-do list and start winning the villagers over. Everyone with full hearts still likes us, but all the rest of the villagers are going to take some convincing. So step 1 is to gather everything I need for gifting in one place. That way I can make a plan and start doling it out to the appropriate villagers. This is where all the prismatic shards we gathered from the meteorites are really valuable, since they're universally loved. And that leads us to a bit of an ethical dilemma. We have a huge amount of rabbit's feet, which are also universally loved. And those iridium quality ones are quite literally the perfect gift. But you're only as good as your word, so let's trash these. At least these new products are fair game. And I also removed the temptation from the barn too. And then I settled into our long gifting process, giving everyone their favorite gift and having a little conversation. I decided to switch our foraging profession to botany to capitalize on iridium quality forageable gifts. Maybe we'll make up for our past sins. A few days later, our syrup and resin are ready. So let's put down some beehives in a keg. And you should always capitalize on the statue's blessing of friendship, because talking nets you 60 points rather than 20. I also picked up some choice crops to fill the greenhouse with, but this did hurt. And I went on gifting and chatting twice a week all the way till winter. It was at that point that I realized that I'd been birthday gifting for the wrong season, so we should now see some real progress. And speaking of mistakes, I also forgot to finalize our fish pond area. Let's just go ahead and knock this out. A week later, I noticed that some of the villagers were lagging behind, so let's make some gold quality food for them. Eventually, our Padawan started making us iridium quality feet, which we're going to reserve for birthdays. That one netted us our first full hearts friendship. Then, tragedy struck. After months of speed buffs, I finally ran out of spicy eels. So this is going to take a bit longer. But eventually, our winter season came to a close. And with that means spring. And spring means leeks for George. Finally, on Monday the 22nd, we're down to one last gift. And let's make it a perfect one. I really can't recommend doing all the friendships in a row. It's pretty monotonous, but at least we've made up for our absence with all of our beloved villagers. So we're down to the last thing on our list, to overthrow Mayor Lewis. And with the Mayor mod, we can do just that. And it's not technically a coup, since we're going through the proper electoral process. Considering nothing changed under Lewis for 1,000 years, I could probably do a better job. And this mod is pretty cool. You actually have to canvass all of the villagers. I see what you did there, Jody. Pass out leaflets. Willie, it's one page, it can't cover everything. And make sure Lewis knows that you're coming for him. And there's even a public debate. I think I know which option I would go for. And after 2 hard weeks on the election trail, it was time to cast our ballots. But it turns out if you spend months befriending every single person that matters, then you win. Turns out we were a shoo-in from the start. This is the first day of the election versus the last. So not a violent coup, but it definitely wasn't legitimate. Although, I guess it would be fair to chalk it up to Lewis's 1,000 years of apathy. It was definitely worth the effort, because now we get to take over his old house as our mayoral headquarters. And we can finally do something good for Pelican Town after so much neglect. Or maybe we'll start spreading a fanatical religion devoted to the one true owl god. Is it a cult? Maybe, but it's definitely more important than any of these issues. And to wrap up our missing statues, and therefore our farm, the Statue of Perfection can be grabbed at Grandpa's shrine. The Statue of Endless Fortune costs 1 million gold at the casino, and now that Lewis has finally moved in with Marnie, I think I might know where the gold statue has wandered off to. You lost. This is mine now. So here it is, our farm 1,000 years ago, before any of the chaos. And I think we did a pretty good job of getting it back into shape. Hopefully we'll be able to come back and have some more adventures on this farm of the future. But until then, I have one last question for you. Could I interest you in an owl?